welcome to another round of the BRSCC Mazda Super Series. You're joining me here at what is a beautiful Snetterton. Now the temperatures have started to cool down come this afternoon, which is quite good because we've got back-to-back races. Now I just want to quickly take 2 seconds to introduce you to James Young here, who is an ARDS instructor. Now James, you're a little bit biased already coming into this because your friend and colleague Matt Pickford has put it on pole position.
Yeah, he has. I do work with Matt and I've seen him drive, so yeah, apart from that, I think he will come up with the goods on track today.
Now, in that case, I'm going to have to back a long-time colleague and friend, Jeremy Cook, who's starting right beside him on the line in second position. So, quickly, talk us through what do we expect from the sort of temperatures for today for the car conditions?
Well, the previous races today, with the temperatures, the new Avon tyres have been going off a little bit towards the end, so it'd be interesting to see how these get on with a little bit of cloud cover. We'll just have to wait and see.
Brilliant, right. Well, I'm going to ask the same question. Andy, who do you think is going to take the win today?
Well, Lindsay, we've had 5 different winners so far this year, none of whom are on the grid here today. So the only thing I will confidently predict is we're going to have a new winner in the season, which is exciting. Matt Pickford and Jeremy Crook share the front row, as you said. Simon Orange makes a welcome return. He's on row 2 alongside Darren Kell, with Simon Fleet and also returning Patrick Collins 6th. Bradley Kent and Declan Lee are next ahead of Alex Miller and Clyde Powell to round out the top 10. Then it's David O'Reilly, Russ Lindsay, George Grant, Natalie Brooks and Liz Walton rounding out the field. So 20 minutes of racing ahead of us then, for the first of 3 races here today at Snetterton. Who will make the best start on the run to the first corner? Will it be the pole sitter Pickford or can Jeremy Crook get the better launch from the outside of row 1? Well, the answer I think is yes. The lights go out and it's the silver bullet that heads into the lead, I think, on the run to the first corner. The silver car of Jeremy Crook on the outside of row 1 gets his nose in front, gets almost the whole car in front before they reach Rich's corner and turns into the right-hander as the race leader. So Crook leads the way. Pickford in second position by the looks of it. Simon Orange there behind us is third, and then side by side for fourth between Patrick Collins on the inside and Darren Kell on the outside, the number 3 car, who is desperately late on the brakes but too late in the end. Runs out onto the grass, gets a bit sideways, almost spins back into the pack, and Clyde Powell's, I think, in avoidance there, ends up over the grass trying to make sure there wasn't a collision. So some slightly sketchy moments through the hairpin on the first lap, but everyone through without too much contact by the looks of it. There's Bradley Kent, he's had a good start, he's 5th now, having started 7th on the grid, but it's Jeremy Crook that leads the way. Pickford 2nd, 3rd Orange, 4th Collins, and that battle going on for 5th with Kent ahead, but Alex Miller coming up the inside now to try and take that newly acquired 5th place away from him, which he does. George Grant out wide, gets sideways again. Some more sketchy moments there in the middle of the pack as they try to settle into a rhythm here in the early stages. Down towards the hairpin we go then. Matt Pickford here defending the inside line. Patrick Collins trying to come around the outside. Alex Miller's up the inside of Simon Fleet behind as well. Bradley Kent also joining in the fun. This surely won't all work out. But Pickford hangs on to the position just about. That's 3rd place with Simon Orange now through into 2nd. This though allowing Jeremy Crook to pull away at the head of the field. This is a very, very close tussle though, and you feel that something will have to give before too much longer. Alex Miller's on the AstroTurf there, coming out of Palmer's. They stay single file for now. What about Agostini though? This is one of the better overtaking opportunities on the circuit. Pickford knows it, so he's defending the inside to try and stop Patrick Collins from getting through. A short shoot towards Hamilton. Collins watching the mirrors, looking out in front of him as well, just trying to make sure that he doesn't go for a move and then end up losing ground as a result. That's David O'Reilly, by the way, who is chasing Natalie Brooks and trying to keep George Grant at bay. 3 of them running nose to tail into Hamilton. And some nice battle going on further down the order here. Then George Grant has had a best finish so far this year of 6th. He's running at the moment though outside the top 10, unfortunately. Not having quite the same sort of pace, but he's one of those drivers that tends to get quicker as the weekend goes on. So the Clapham North livery car we ought to see a bit further towards the sharp end before we're done with racing at Snetterton. Matt Pickford up the inside of Simon Orange, going back through into 2nd place there. Nicely done, or is it? Simon Orange fights back, and around goes Patrick Collins and Alex Miller, both pointing the wrong way down at the complex. Oh, and Miller gets himself beached on the curb as well. A replay here on board with Collins, side by side in front of us. Collins gets a tag in the tail though, big tank slapper. Around goes Miller. Now I think it was Miller who was behind him. This might tell us more, looking back from Matt Pickford, and there's a headbutt given. It looked as though Collins backed off there to try and avoid getting too caught up in what was going on in front of him. And Miller unfortunately caught out by that. The safety car is scrambled then. Miller's car will be towed unceremoniously out of the way. We should hopefully be able to go racing again before too long. Well, The lights then are out on the safety car. We are about to get racing resumed here at Snetterton, with Jeremy Crook having lost all of that nice advantage that he had over the chasing pack. Pickford back into second now with that timely move that he made on Simon Orange. Orange third with Fleet fourth and Bradley Kent in fifth position then. That is your order at the head of the field. Jeremy Crook, though, looking for his first victory of the year, looking to become the sixth different winner of the year in what has been a competitive season, despite the domination of Brian Chandler at the past couple of rounds. Brian won the 5 of the last 6 races in the Super Series, but isn't racing here this weekend. It is one of his cars, though, in the shape of Jeremy Crook, that leads the way across the start-finish line, and with a good restart as well. Pickford likewise has shaken clear of Simon Orange, Simon Fleet and Bradley Kent behind. A while since we saw Simon Orange racing in the Super Series, but every time he does, he seems to find Simon Fleet company. Those two share the first name, and they share very similar pace on track as well. They're very often found doing battle for podium positions, which is what they are doing here today, fighting over third place at the moment, with Matt Pickford in front of them, who are on board with trying to escape them and maybe build a mid-race challenge here against Jeremy Crook in front of us. The right-hander at Wilson, meanwhile, goes Patrick Collins. Oh, and Natalie Brooks sideways in front of us. What on earth happened there? There was nowhere that Collins could have gone. Throws his hands up in exasperation. Now, if he had not had that spin after the contact with Miller, then he would never have been that far back in the pack, and that particular accident would never have happened either. That was really unfortunate there for Patrick. A case of how things can really go from bad to worse very, very quickly in this game. Meanwhile, back on board with Matt Pickford, looking back at Bradley Kent, who's up the inside of Simon Fleet, who tries to hang on around the outside of Hamilton. Ends up on the grass, though, and will lose a place. There was never going to be any other outcome there. That's the dirty side of the road, and it's a very quick left-hander as well. Sadly, though, the pace about to slow down significantly because the red flag has now been thrown. This, we presume, is because of the Patrick Collins and Natalie Brooks collision. And here is a replay of that. You can see that the Declan Lee car was obscuring the view of Patrick Collins. He couldn't see that Natalie Brooks was sideways until it was far too late, and then quite significant front-end contact. A lot of damage done to Brooks' car, which has not been able to rejoin. I think that Collins was actually able to continue, albeit walking wounded. So confirmation of the result then. Jeremy Crook gets his first win of the year with Matt Pickford second, Simon Orange third, and Simon Fleet fourth. Then Bradley Kent rounding out the top 5. Darren Kell, Russ Lindsay, Declan Lee, George Grant and Clive Powells were all inside the top 10.
Well, Jeremy, first of all, congratulations. That looked quite easy until the safety car came out and bunched things up. How did it go out there for you?
Well, I was looking at the timer in the car and saw we got probably 9 minutes left, and I thought if we can just keep that lead, we're going to be all right. And then suddenly the safety car signs came out, and I thought, oh no, this can only happen to me. But I got a good start after the safety car came in. It's the first time I've ever been leading behind a safety car, and the first race I've won as well, so there you go.
Well, it's congratulations, you did really well with both of that. And do you have any issues with tyres at all in these hot conditions?
I think that you've just got to be a bit careful with them and not lean on them too hard, and just try to be as smooth as you possibly can. And in that way you don't get too much degradation, but if you lean on them too hard they overheat and then you're all over the place and you start dropping time, so you just got to be a bit careful.
Well, congratulations, great win. Well done.
Thank you very much indeed, thank you.
Race 2 is about to get underway here for the Super Series, and they start as they finished the last race. So we have Jeremy Cook starting in pole position, Matt Pickford starting in second, and Simon Orange in third. Now, Matt was speaking to you before, wasn't he, James? And he was saying that he thinks starting second will give him a better advantage.
Yeah, that's why he believes that Jeremy won the first race. So I think it might have been his tactic to finish second so he gets the better start of the race, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see. Well, the rest of the grid's changed a little bit, not too much. I don't think they're going to be too worried out on row 1, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, we're going to hand that straight over to Andy McEwen to run you through the rest of the grid.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. Well, as the cars get onto their green flag lap, it is Jeremy Crook then who has the pole position with Pickford alongside. Simon Orange and Simon Fleet share row 2, ahead of Bradley Kent and Darren Kell. Then Russ Lindsay and Declan Lee with George Grant and Clive Powells rounding out the top 10. David O'Reilly is next ahead of Patrick Collins, who was classified a finisher despite being involved in the red flag causing incident because he was still running at the time of the red flag. Liz Walton, Natalie Brooks and Alex Miller at the tail end of the field. So Matt Pickford then looking to try and recreate the good start that Jeremy Crook made from the outside of row 1 in race 1. Can he do it? The lights go out, away we go. It's a good start for Pickford, but I don't think he's done enough to get himself ahead of Jeremy Crook, who on the inside line should still maintain the lead into the first corner. The question will be, where does Pickford end up in all of this? Because he's in danger of being hung out to dry. On the inside goes Simon Orange. There's Russ Lindsay in the number 17 car into about 5th or 6th place. He's had a good start as well. As they head towards the hairpin, Pickford on the outside line needs to try and fight his way back to the inside if he can, but there's just nowhere to go. He's very late on the brakes. There's going to be 3 abreast for the race lead coming off the corner, and Bradley Kent joining in the fun as well. They were almost 3 wide. Did Kent manage to go from 3rd to 1st? He was certainly trying. Well, not quite. He is 2nd though. Crook leads the way. Kent 2nd. Orange and Pickford side by side for 3rd, and Simon Orange will go around the outside of Palmer's to demote Pickford off the podium. Simon Fleet now trying to get up the inside as well as they drop down into Agostini. Bradley Kent though going on the attack immediately, goes to the outside. Jeremy Crook sideways, runs out a bit wide, and Bradley Kent was trying to get up the inside on the exit of the corner, and I think he might have done it. Bradley Kent into the lead of the race. Off goes Alex Miller though, whose day unfortunately is getting no better after that retirement in race 1. He's now off the road early on in race 2, albeit thankfully didn't seem to get any damage from that particular moment. So what has happened at the front of the field then? Is it Bradley Kent in front? I think it will be. Jeremy Crook in 2nd as they head into Palmer's for the first time. And yep, there is Crook 2nd, Orange 3rd, Fleet 4th, Pickford 5th, Darren Kell 6th, and in 7th position then looked to be Clive Powell. So a lively start then for our 2nd race of the weekend. Join us after the break to see what happens next. Welcome back to Snetterton, where for our 2nd race of the weekend for the MX5 Super Series, we are behind the safety car. That is why that's Declan Lee's car that's off at Oggies, and we believe he's had some contact with another car. Before that, though, this happened down at Agostini. Matt Pickford on the outside line gets sideways on the dirty side of the road, and Darren Kell and Simon Fleet had nowhere to go. Kell and Pickford out of the race, and Simon Fleet rejoining, then getting tangled up with Declan Lee and Clive Powell. Lee was trying to overtake Simon Fleet, misjudged it, and absolutely wiped out the number 15 car. Fleet did well to get out of that without any contact himself. Sadly, Declan Lee out of the race, and I fear may have to explain himself to the clerk of the course after this one, because that was a little bit clumsy. At the head of the field, though, it's Bradley Kent, who had found a way past Jeremy Crook in the early stages. Crook in 2nd position, trying to stay with him then as we get ready for a safety car restart, but the youngster looking for his first ever victory in a Mazda MX-5. He's out in front as we head into the closing stages of this 2nd race of the weekend. Then the green flags fly once again, and Jeremy Crook trying to go with him in the slipstream across the start-finish line. Is he going to be able to make a move into the first corner? I wonder if he can apply the pressure to Bradley Kent. Then you may expect that Bradley is the one of the two of them who is maybe more likely to make a mistake. That's certainly what Crook will be hoping. George Grant, by the way, running well in 5th position. We said that his pace should improve as the weekend goes on, and Alex Miller gets all out of shape trying to overtake him, and did well to hang on to that. Right then, down into Brundle and Nelson, and a change of lead. Look, Jeremy Crook has got himself ahead of Bradley Kent now. So Bradley Kent down into 2nd position. Behind them it was side by side as well, as Simon Orange fended off Patrick Collins. But it is Jeremy Crook back out ahead of Bradley Kent, who will be a little bit miffed at that as he tries to retaliate. Can't really get up the inside at Coram though. Needs to just think this through. He's still got time left to retake this 1st position. He has to make sure that he does it without any contact, without damaging the car. Forces a mistake out of Crook at the final turn, and that means that Kent will be quicker onto the pit straight. Pulls out of the slipstream, ducks straight back into it though, decided that he wasn't quite able to do that. Across the line they go, into the first corner. Jeremy Crook defending the inside as we go on to the final lap of the race now. Bradley Kent to the outside, looking to try and get the quicker exit from the corner, and maybe get up the inside towards the Wilson hairpin. There's almost a touch between the two of them, but Kent is there. He's on the inside as they head into the braking zone, and Bradley Kent, I think, is about to go back through into the race lead. Later on the brakes, inside line, as long as he's not too wide on the exit, I think that the youngster is, yes, back in front. Runs a bit wide over the curbs. Has Crook got back alongside him as a result? No, he hasn't. So Bradley Kent back through into the lead of the race, and now has just under 2/3 of a lap remaining to defend, like his life depends on it, to hang on to his first ever victory. Well, into the final couple of corners they go then. Bradley Kent looks like he's going to do it. He will become the 7th different winner of what is already turning into a very competitive season of MX5 Super Series racing. Bradley Kent and the Essex and Kent Motorsport squad finally get to celebrate a Mazda MX5 racing victory, because Bradley Kent wins the second race at Snetterton. A fantastic drive that was, after a to and fro battle with Jeremy Crook, who comes home second. Simon Orange is third, Patrick Collins 4th, Alex Miller 5th, Clive Powell 6th, George Grant 7th, Russ Lindsay 8th, David O'Reilly 9th, Simon Fleet in 10th, and Liz Walton the last of the finishers. Matt Pickford and Darren Kell were non-finishers, whilst Declan Lee was indeed disqualified for the contact that he had with Clive Powell's.
Bradley, huge congratulations, not just for that extremely tough race there, but the fact this is your first win. Quickly talk us through how you went on that.
Well, we got a great start. We started 6th, 7th, and we made a good move up the inside into the hairpin through 4 or 5 cars, and we came out in second. We came round into the left-hander, and I found myself on the outside, which is probably a better line, and got myself in front. And then from then on, just drove ahead, tried to get the best gap I could. But then the safety car came out, and that stirred the pot a little bit.
Well, we've had 2 fantastic races already here at Snetterton, and for the third of the 3 races here today, it is our 2 race winners from the weekend who share the front row. Bradley Kent and Jeremy Crook, with Simon Orange and Patrick Collins on row 2 together. Alex Miller and Clyde Powell's are next, ahead of George Grant, who fell down to 7th towards the end of the previous race, having run inside the top 5. Russ Lindsay alongside him on the 4th row. David O'Reilly and Simon Fleet are next, with Liz Walton, Darren Kell and Declan Lee at the back. Well, we've had some brilliant racing, some great tussles, and I'm expecting another good one here between Bradley Kent and Jeremy Crook from the front row of the grid. Crook's made a good start already, remember, in race 1 from the outside of row 1, but this time around it's Kent who's quicker away, and I think will do enough just about to hang on to the advantage on the run towards the first corner. Bradley Kent on the white and orange number 44 car on the inside line, Crook in the silver car on the outside, wheel to wheel into the first corner, but you'll never go right round the outside of turn 1 and come out of it in a better position than you went in. Crook knows that, and in fact ends up potentially losing second place, because Simon Orange is up the inside of him now, on board with Patrick Collins, who has a grandstand view of all of this, turning into the right-hander at Wilson. Kent leads, Orange second, and Collins might have gone through into 3rd place as well there. Further back there's Declan Lee, already making progress from the back after his non-finish and then subsequent disqualification from the second race of the weekend. Looks like Crook has settled in line in 3rd, but has lost a couple of places. George Grant sideways, not for the first time we've seen him sideways on the opening lap. Maybe struggling a bit on cold tyres this weekend. The temperatures may be high, but it still takes a little while for those tyres to come up into their optimum operating window. And it may be that that's what George is struggling with. Certainly right now he's struggling with cars coming past him left, right and centre. Russ Lindsay and Simon Fleet going past him. Meanwhile, Alex Miller is driving around the outside of Patrick Collins into Hamilton, and Patrick backs out of it, and that actually allows Miller through, but Miller gets a bit sideways on the exit of the corner. Is there scope maybe for Collins to attack at the next corner? The answer is no, and so Alex Miller, having non-finished in the first race, fought his way back into 5th in race 2, and is now charging after maybe a podium position if he can get one. He has had 2 podium finishes already this year as Alex Miller, both of them coming up Pembury in fact, in the first 2 races, a 3rd and a 2nd. Can he recreate that sort of form here in race 3 at Snetterton, a circuit he's had the pace at, but unfortunately that non-finish in race 1 has rather hampered his weekend. Bradley Kent's weekend not being hampered at all, though. He's starting to scarper away at the front of the field. Second place is Simon Orange, but he's on the grass coming out of Nelson. Didn't really seem to lose any tyre from that, though. I think he kept his accelerator mashed well and truly through the floor. He has managed, I think, to hang on to second place. Yes, he has, but Jeremy Crook staying with him, as you'd expect, and Orange will now have dirt on his tyres. Might be vulnerable to attack through the final corner. Down towards Oggies we go then. Orange still second. Alex Miller now attacking for 3rd as he tries to come around the outside of Jeremy Crook. Now this might just work if he carries good momentum into Williams, but Crook will have the inside line for this next right-hander. If Miller can go right round the outside, this will be a very impressive move indeed. But again, on the dirty side of the road, there's only ever one outcome. He ends up on the grass. Crook goes back through, and Patrick Collins now draws alongside. And remember, it was these two that made contact in race 1, and it rather scuppered both of their races. Collins this time gets through cleanly though, and will now set about trying to attack Jeremy Crook as well. Onto the brakes, Russ Lindsay, sorry, Clyde Powell's that is joining in as well behind them, also regrouping after earlier dramas this weekend. Over the curbs goes Crook. Careful not to make a mistake though, Jeremy. He's had a decent weekend so far with the first and a second. If you can round that out with another top 3 or 4 finish, that would go down very nicely indeed. But there is no catching Bradley Kent. Down towards Agostini, and Jeremy Crook continuing to lose ground here. Locks up on the inside, gets into the side of Simon Fleet and runs out onto the grass to Simon Fleet. And that was another example of Simon just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, which really has been the story of his weekend. Collins now looking to try and take advantage of all of this, attacking Jeremy Crook down the back straight, and Crook slows down mysteriously, and Collins is up the inside. Now can Crook hang on around the outside through Brundle? He'll have the inside line for Nelson if he can. Collins, I think, will go through despite getting a bit sideways on the exit, and in fact Alex Miller now comes up alongside to challenge Jeremy Crook. Simon Fleet still in this mix as well, despite having just been elbowed unceremoniously out of the way at Agostini, and then Clive Powell's as well. On to the final lap though for Bradley Kent, who heads into the final sector of the final lap. Not that far away now from possibly taking a race victory, and one of the most dominant race victories we've seen for quite some time in the MX-5 Super Series. I think the record for biggest winning margin so far this year is 14.1 seconds for Brian Chandler back at Pembrey earlier on this season. While here at Snetterton, Bradley Kent is going to take an equally dominant victory, and like buses, having waited so long for his first ever race victory, 2 come along at once. A victory in race 3 at Snetterton for Bradley Kent, and look at that winning margin that he's got over anybody else. Simon Orange will eventually come home in second position, but a long way back, and at the end, well, he's about to come across the start-finish line now in second. The winning margin is 13.6 seconds. Look at that. Third place for Patrick Collins, fourth Alex Miller, and fifth Clive Powells. Nicholas Lindsay, Simon Fleet, Jeremy Crook, Declan Lee and George Grant rounding out the top 10. David O'Reilly and Liz Walton are outside of the top 10, whilst Darren Kell, unfortunately, was an early retirement.
Patrick, that was one hell of a fight.
Oh, yeah, look, I really enjoyed it. In fact, it's been a great weekend, but I had so much bad luck in the first race that I thought, oh God, what? And this is my first race of the season coming back, so I thought, oh, my luck's so bad. And then I made up a lot of places in race 2, and I was determined to at least walk away with something to make me smile today. So I don't know what happened to Jeremy, but I was lucky to get past, and then I was just trying to fight Simon because, as you know, I always want to get past Simon, but he was just too quick this time. But really enjoyed it. It was great.
Well, it's been an eventful weekend for Patrick Collins, that's for sure, and indeed for most of the MX-5 Super Series field. This was the spin for Patrick in the opening race of the weekend that looked like it was setting him on a course for disaster all weekend long. This spin, after contact from Alex Miller behind, put him further back in the pack than he should have been, and that led to his second bit of contact, slightly more significant contact, this with Natalie Brooks. Bang! A really heavy collision, which brought out the red flags at the end of the opening race. In race 2, it was Matt Pickford's turn to join in the fun. He got sideways at Agostini, triggering a 3-car collision with Darren Kell and Simon Fleet. That wasn't the last entertainment for Simon either. He was then caught up with Declan Lee and Clive Powell's antics up at Oggie's. Declan Lee eventually given a disqualification for this contact, but he retired from the race anyway. With other drivers' fortunes unfortunately taking a turn for the worse, Bradley Kent's fortunes improved significantly with his first ever race victory in an MX-5. Can he do the same again next time?